Hello, everyone. I'm Will Moxley, Chief Product Officer and SVP at RingCentral. And today I'll be discussing with you redefining work culture through technology. Now, remote work is playing a much larger role in many businesses, and there's much more attention on managing remote workforces. Companies need to ensure that all employees are connected and engaged from wherever they are, not just week to week, but for much longer term periods. Now, this acceleration of work from home, this was already a trend, right? People were already working from home more remotely. But what we thought would happen over 5 to 10 years is happening right now. It's happening very quickly for us all because of the pandemic, right? Digital transformation really hit the accelerator and is happening much more quickly than everyone anticipated. And that's really one of the key drivers behind this big push towards remote work and working from anywhere. Now, communicating and collaborating remotely requires a different approach to many areas of workplace culture, such as mental and physical wellness, inclusivity, does everyone feel included? Presence and innovation. And for many leaders, instilling this new culture to complement remote work is a crucial new skill that they must learn. It's a skill they must learn to grow within the culture. Now, technology can be a double-edged sword, right? Technology can be a source of both aggravation and relief in this process. And it can end up, to achieve presence, employees communicate more and end up bombarding each other with messages. Terms like Zoom fatigue have entered the popular lexicon, reflecting a greater need to physically and metaphorically switch off at the end of the working day, right? You just get exhausted from it all. Now, on the other hand, video has been a bedrock of remote work success this year, right? It's enabling a level of anywhere connection. You can work from anywhere. That has been possible only relatively recently. Now, this greater emphasis has been put on remote employee psychological well-being, with HR departments driving initiatives that encourage employees to find a work-life balance, make time for social interaction at work, and make the most of support in many different forms, right? We really need to do these things to counterbalance this fatigue and overwhelm that people have. So some employees are old hands at remote work. They've always done it. A lot of salespeople are like that, but many aren't. As businesses build remote work into their long-term strategy with the focus on wringing out of it the promised increased productivity benefits, they must also think about how do they rebuild this workplace culture with the remote experience in mind, right? They were always thinking about culture, but with people in the office. Now, with people not all in the office, and that trend's going to continue, how do you build this culture? How do you build the same workplace culture you had before? So 2020 placed extra demands on many workforces. In the face of these new and bigger challenges, businesses had to ask their teams to go that extra mile. That meant dipping into a form of social capital to keep employees engaged and motivated. So this helps to bring the dynamics of collaboration into a starker relief, highlighting the transactional nature of some work relationships, right? Some of these are just transactional. I do this for me, I do this for you. And you rely on employees to go above and beyond. Relying on them to go above and beyond can require cashing in a kind of goodwill credit that has been accrued through the formation of working relationships. And although we've had practice at it, as humans, we're still not great at building this social capital through virtual working relationships, right? The social capital you build up, you now have to build it at virtual relationships, which is a lot harder. So how can businesses help employees build up goodwill credit when coming into a virtual organization? It's a cultural issue that goes beyond simply the work we do, right? Beyond the transaction. Relationships are built through communication over time. So businesses need to provide the communication media and facilitate the opportunity for relationships to be built. And employees need to learn to use the right modality at the right time. Video can help in building trust and connection because users can see each other's body language and facial expression of all the people they're communicating with. But not all interactions need to use video. Sometimes a phone call can be right when it's beneficial, right? Break that always on video, pressure, and even a simple written message can work well at the right time. And at some point or other, everybody works outside of their job description. For these organizations that have needed more of that kind of flexibility over the past 12 months, employee engagement and goodwill go a long way towards making it work. So using RingCentral as an example, an actual example here, our company has used a number of initiatives to engage and support staff, three of which I'll let you know about here. So the first is we stepped up internal education program called Learning Central to actively support staff development during this time. And second, we've given all employees one extra day off per quarter so that people can relax and recharge after all this phenomenal energy they put into work over the quarter. And I can tell you employees really valued that. And third, we've arranged breakfast meetings between executive teams and small groups of staff at all levels of the organization. And to demonstrate, we did this to demonstrate transparency and minimize the sense of distance that hierarchy can create. So having gone through the remote work experiment of last year should leave us much better prepared for the future of work. In the days when remote work was seen as a perk or a necessary corner case, work styles were heavily biased towards people in the office. I know this. I experienced this whenever I never wanted to work remotely because it was so hard to be a part of the conversation when you were remote. And working in the office was much more connected, engaged, and collaborative experience, right? You could write on the whiteboard, you could look people in the eye, and you could, nudge the person next to you. So connecting a fully remote workforce has been a great leveler in that respect because now you can't have that bias towards people in the office. It's really made everyone much more aware of this issue. And when workforces partially return to the office, when that happens, the understanding of this bias should play a much stronger role in the approach to hybrid work. Leaders and employees will be a lot more cognizant of this remote work experience, along with the specific restrictions, the challenges of it, and will be better prepared to build an integrated culture, right? Because we've all gone through this last year. So being fully remote means a business loses its centralization, physically as well as metaphorically. There's no room for micromanagement. Employees need to be trusted more to make the right decisions and manage themselves more so than in the typical office-based hierarchy, right? You really need to empower and trust your employees. And that's a good thing because businesses should be seeking to prepare, empower, and trust their employees and avoid reverting to centralized hierarchy in which only senior managers make decisions. The role of managers takes on a much more of a coaching element, right? We need to coach our team, which is likely to require some adjustment in many quarters. And that's part of workforce development that people leaders should be investing in, right? Really making their people more productive and more, included and having well-being in this environment. So in several ebooks we wrote last year, we wrote about the changing nature of workplace communication and collaboration, such as the idea of manufactured serendipity. It's an oxymoron that best describes the unusual measures required to try to make space for the connections and innovations that arise spontaneously at work. Now, it's manufactured because you're remote, right? You're not doing it physically in the office. And like many other companies, we found that productivity certainly didn't drop last year. And in fact, as an example, we released 70 new RingCentral video features in just 6 months. However, 2021 will be a more rigorous test of this remote working impact on innovation. While the technology to enable employees to be productive is very much with us, there isn't yet a silver bullet technology to stimulate creativity and drive innovation, right? And to create the culture to do that in a remote way. Again, that's where culture creates the conditions and provides the energy, and technology acts as the medium, right? Technology is just the medium, but you still need that culture. So while more of our time needs to be scheduled now and we no longer run into colleagues in the office, creativity and innovation remain crucial to growing our businesses. And companies have been forced to recreate this brainstorming space in remote collaboration. So tools such as virtual whiteboards have been a great part of capturing that creative collaboration in real time. These are the new kind of tools we have to use in this new world. And similarly, low-code tools with drag and drop features allow people to participate in design processes without having to learn complicated programming languages. And that opens up collaboration to a wider audiences. It lowers the barrier to entry. It, is an effective, and lowering these barriers to entry is an effective way of creating opportunity for greater diversity of contribution to include everyone in that conversation. And as we rely on technology, our businesses, to not only survive, but to thrive in the conditions we face right now, it's critical to think about the human factors that are involved. We have a chance to increase accessibility through technology, which benefits individuals as well as the organization as a whole. And so simple changes in culture, like asking all colleagues to turn on their video during conferencing, can have a profound effect for colleagues who rely on lip reading, for example. Recognizing and understanding these human factors and building company cultures to meet them, has a real big impact on staff engagement scores. So this is something business leaders must really put front and center in order to shift work styles, right? Employee experience is now the big differentiator when it comes to your company's long-term success. And engaged employees are over 20% more productive than non-engaged employees. So it's critical for businesses and companies to find a way to keep their workforces engaged, whether that's in the office, remote, or what's most likely to happen in the coming year, a combination of the two. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to listen. I appreciate it, and goodbye.